Dr. Swamy, thank you for taking the right stand. We've debated this issue. You're fighting a case with the Tirumala Tirupati Devasthanam also. That matter is in the Andhra Pradesh High Court. Let me ask you, do you agree with Mr. Rangarajan, the priest, coming out and questioning this aspect as to why all other VATs and levies, around 23% or 1/4 of the earnings of temples, is actually collected and taken away by the government?
Yes, I not only agree, but I have already got as far back as 2014 a Supreme Court judgment, which judgment was in fact one of the judges that time was the present Chief Justice. And the judgment said that the government can intervene in the governance of a temple only to the extent that it has made out a case that there has been financial mismanagement, and for a brief period, which they didn't specify, but orally I had asked for 3 years and they said 5 years. The government has to restore the financial purity and then return the temple back to the people from whom they took it.
Yes.
And so this was in the application of the Nataraj Sabanayaga temple in the city of Chidambaram,
correct.
in Tamil Nadu.
Yes, I remember
which
that.
the DMK government had taken over.
Correct.
And it was restored to the priests who are called the Dikshitars.
Right.
On the basis of my judgment, the judgment I got.
Right.
Now, this judgment can be applied all over India.
Right.
And unfortunately, state governments are just ignoring it. People are unaware of it.
Right.
And so I have to go to every state and challenge it. I've done it in Kerala. I have done it in now in Tirupati, Tirumala.
Right.
And I am planning to go step by step to every state.
Right.
But I would like people and lawyers in the states
Right.
to take it up.
Right.
But one problem does arise, as I found in the case of Tirupati and the Padmanabha temple in Kerala. And that is this. In the case of the Sabanayaga Nataraj temple, it was clear who they took it from.
Correct.
But in these other temples, it's not clear because they've taken them for so long ago. For instance, Tirupati was taken over during British times in 1933.
Right.
Now, who do I return it to?
Yes.
Same thing, the same question was asked of me by the court in the Padmanabha Swamy temple. Who do we return it to? I said it was built by the Maharaja, so you of Travancore, so return it to him. They said, now we don't recognize that there is a Maharaja.
Correct.
We have abolished it in 1950.
Right.
So you please tell us who we should return it and come back to us.
Right. No, but
and there I have not been able to get consensus. I would like all the religious priests,
yes,
or sadhus, sannyasis to come and give me a solution.
Right.
And as far as why not other temple, the other religious institution like a church or a mosque,
right,
there is no bar.
Correct.
But the secular professions of past governments have stopped it, and the present government is a little ginger about taking up this issue.
Right.
Now, but this law under Article 25 applies to them also.
Correct.
The Supreme Court has said repeatedly, we are not stopping anybody from doing that.
Correct.
But no case has come to us before us.
Correct.
If anybody can give me mismanagement of a masjid or a church, I'll be happy to file a case against them.
Correct. But the fact is that, Dr. Swamy, that you can file a case against them, but can you take over its control and management, and can you tax these institutions? Because in 1925, you talked about Article 25, I'm saying 1925, the British introduced the Madras Religious and Charitable Endowments Act. But then after furor from Muslims and Christians, they rechristened it and called it the Madras Hindu Religious and Endowments Act 1927. That change happened. And why is this clamor by the state governments to control Hindu-driven institutions or Sanatan Dharma-driven institutions like Shani Shingnapur last time, Uttarakhand this time around? Is it because the wealth? Is it because the coffers, like the Shani Shingnapur or the Shirdi at Sai, 287 crore, 2019. That's the Shirdi type of Sai Baba temple collection, sir.
Well, I'm telling you this, Tirupati Pujaris have done wonderful work in building roads, in building hospitals, universities, and it's in fact the government which is squandering the money there. And I have a petition. I think the state government and I am in touch.
Right.
And we are hoping, because we still don't even have records. Can you believe it? During the previous 5 years,
Right.
there's never been an audit by an independent authority of the government expenditures.
Right.
So therefore, government has to intervene, but we don't know how the government does it.
Correct.
And if the government does any corruption in the use of the money,
Right.
there is no authority. No
Right.
government is answerable.
Right.
But there is a provision under the Act
Correct.
that the government will be subject to an independent audit. And they've
Correct.
not followed it.
Correct. Sir, I've got Mr. Rangarajan who actually raised, the priest from the Visa Venkateswara temple, who raised this issue of levies. So one aspect is control, the other aspect is levies. Now, he made a case in point, and I have a point as far as the Dandayudapani Swamy temple in Parni, or the Parni temple, where all deposits, hundi collections are deposited into a designated temple bank account. 14% of this goes as administration fees, 4% goes as audit fees, 25 to 40% as salaries, and 1 to 2% for prayers and other festival expenses. Between 4 to 10% of the total commission goes to the Commissioner's Common Good Fund. That means about 65 to 70% of the temple income is used for non-temple or merely administrative purposes. Why, sir? How is this fair? Does this happen with other religious institutions too?
No. No, not at all. Not at all. And that tax is only for purposes of government expenditure. It's not a tax. It's not called a tax.
Huh.
It is government appropriating money for its administration.
Huh. But is that fair? Can
And
they do it?
you can, if the government on the same principle takes over a church, it can use that money for its administration, paying its officers, etc.
But there has to be a grounds. But there has to be some grounds. 1/4 of the donations, earnings. That's the claim made by Mr. Rangarajan, who's joining us live at this point. Dr. Swamy, how is that fair?
Who has questioned it? Who's questioned it? Yes.
No, I'm just saying.
You are saying that this is so high,
Right.
but why nobody has questioned it?
No, we are wanting to question it, and that's the reason I'm doing this debate, Dr. Swamy. Don't you think it's a high time that we should question this?
Yeah, that is a question for government to answer. I'm not responsible for that. Because of secularism, we can only tax Hindus, Hindu temples, and nobody else. That has been the past. Supreme Court has number of times said, we have never stopped you. Never stopped the government from taking over a mosque or a madrasa or whatever, and a church.
No, but
the governments have not had the guts to do it.
Correct. Okay, why, sir? Why governments have the guts to take over shrines, Hindu shrines or Sanatan Dharma shrines, but will not touch other shrines, sir? If it was purely management, and if it was trying to ensure that we are going to just bring in greater control and management, sir. By Uttarakhand, what is happening? 50 shrines to be taken over. They have passed the act in 2019.
I am appearing in.
Right.
I am going to the High Court there to strike it down. It's a most unconstitutional act that the Uttarakhand government has passed.
No, but why do you think this kind of intervention happens? Is it money? Is it power? Is it clout? Why? What is the grounds?
But that is true. But you can't take over the running of the temple and appointing of the pujaris.
No, but it is not about appointing of the pujaris, no, Dr. Swamy. It is controlling the coffers, controlling the earnings, and it does not go towards the furtherance of the faith.
That's not what the Act says. That's not what the Act says. The Act is full of interventions. and it's a very bad act. It will be struck down once I go to court.
No, but if that is the case, why does this happen? You talked about Tamil Nadu. Is there an argument where politicians and governments have used temple funds for their own needs? There are allegations that it's been used to wash money. Money has been diverted for the use of politicians.
Karunanidhi's government did it all the time. It is only after I intervened in the picture that now they have become a little circumspect. They have stolen all the land of the temples. They have stolen the cows which were there as part of the temple property. They have taken away the jewels. It's been a total plunder in Tamil Nadu. I'm sure it's there in Karnataka too.
Correct. Sir, Tamil Nadu, the argument is about 47,000 acres of temple land has been sold off and nobody is the wiser and nobody can challenge it. That is also one of the points, saying that 782 out of 35,793 temples in Tamil Nadu in Puducherry applied for PAN numbers. Why? That's a question that is being asked. Plenty of issues, but will you represent them legally? Will you take this fight if somebody approaches you, Dr. Swamy? My final question to you, sir.
I'm already overcommitted. I'm a politician. This is not my work. But I've done it because previously Swami Dayanand Saraswati and all these senior sadhus asked me, if people come, I can't do it. I am already taking up a case, and there are 2 cases in Maharashtra also.
Right.
But there's a question of time factor.
Right.
And if they come with documents, maybe I can get one of my juniors and associates to take it up, and I intervene at a crucial stage.
Right. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. Swamy.